Hello and welcome to the Geek Heart Games podcast. Wait, no. I didn't say episode 34 at all.
It's fine.
I failed. I failed to Sam. This is a special episode.
We've done an episode or two where we forgot to just say what the episode number was, and we just went with it, and it was fine. So we have. I'm pretty sure we have.
All right. Well, I'm your host, Cody Teacher, alongside my friend Sam Subak. How you doing, Sam?
I'm good. My camera just got real blurry there, but now it seems to have settled down. So I think we're set. We're looking good tonight. So if you guys aren't watching video, you should go check out some video because we really classed it up for you guys tonight.
We have.
In honor of Halloween.
Yeah, in honor of Halloween, we decided to go as what was that that old TV show? Miami Vice.
I was just thinking more like beach bums. Because Miami Vice, they were wearing like suits, and like the lapels came out like on top of the suit collar, like, you know. I feel like, and I think they had rolled up sleeves for their suit jackets, perhaps. So we're just in Hawaiian shirts and our sunglasses. I mean, you can roll them up, but yeah, I think we're probably more the people that were getting arrested in Miami Vice because we're probably like doing some illegal stuff. But that's fine, because we're looking good. We're having a good time.
We are.
So, yeah.
All right. So this is Geek Heart Game Podcast, guys. We're here to talk about video games and such. First, some housekeeping. So this weekend, we're going to have Extra Life. We're going to be doing it from Thursday to, I think, Sunday, really, due to time differences with all of us. So if you go to Twitter right now, we should have a schedule posted up. Unless you're listening to this like right as it comes out, which then it's like get back in bed, go to sleep. What are you doing?
Take some rest.
Take some rest. So we should have a schedule up talking about like when we're all gonna be doing stuff, when we're gonna be grouping up and all that. Something of that order. So.
And everything's subject to change, you guys. This is the plan, and you know nothing goes according to plan. So we're just looking at when we're syncing up, when we're gonna, so you can plan some of the fun games you want to tune in for. So yeah.
And as always, you guys can go to geekheartgames.com/extralife, and that'll bring you to our team page. You can donate to anybody on the team. We'd greatly appreciate it if you do donate to Samurai. And like we're just really excited. Like this will be the first year Geek Heart Games is doing this as our own banner. And we want to say thank you so much to everyone who's already contributed to us. It means a lot. So yeah.
And also thank you to our teammates. We've got Bitch Team Alpha going with us. We got Melissa Megan from Sirens of Scream, and of course the famous Megs. So yeah.
Or she's started referred to as Greg's.
I just call her the Wonder from Down Under. So
that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Man, it's a real big difference when you take the sunglasses off because everything is a lot brighter.
Oh yeah. It's really bright in here. Man.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, Extra Life this weekend. We hope to see you there. Hope you're out there enjoying some of the content we're providing. And yeah, so thank you. All right, so we're having a small little horror check-in this week before we get into the games and the main appetizer here. So I meant to say entree and I said appetizer. It's a really weird week for me, guys. Sorry.
It's fine.
Sam, you watched a Netflix series.
Yeah.
Called Haunting of Hill House, which I want to watch.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts so far?
So I came to this, like, I've read the book, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and I liked it all right. She has another book called We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and that's actually one of my favorite books of all time, and I recommend it much more highly than The Haunting of Hill House, but that's beside the point, because there's no TV series for that one yet. But yeah, I've read it. I've watched like there's a previous movie, had like Catherine Zeta-Jones and Lily someone, I forget.
I think I've seen that one. Okay, I wonder why this sounds so familiar.
Yeah, and I remember liking it okay, but also I don't remember much of what was in the book or the movie, but all I know is that the TV show is really a departure from that. In the in the book and movie, it was just a bunch of strangers that came to spend the night in the house, I think, and then this stuff happened. In this TV series, the characters are all part of a family that grew up there, had some bad stuff happen. They're kind of haunted throughout their lives. I've only watched the first 2 episodes of it, and right away it felt a little weird to me because like a lot of the acting felt like it would be more in place if it were a play rather than a movie TV show. It just felt like a little overdone dramatic or something. I don't know. And then also it just seems like very literary. Like when it's narrating and saying things, it's like it wants to say things because it sounds cool, or it's like actual quotes from the book that it's relaying. So it's kind of like, meh, it's fine. We've talked about this. I like my action. I like stuff going on. So this was just like, it's a little bit slow for me. But what I've seen, it is interesting. And I feel like it's going to get even more intriguing as it goes. There's pretty interesting stuff that's happening right now. It does a neat thing where it kind of flips back and forth between when they were all kids growing up in the house and now they're adults and the stuff that's happening. And they're interesting characters. They've got living in this haunted house has really fucked them up pretty good. So they've got some interesting stuff going on. Also, there's slight complaint because like all the women look the same in the show, and they're related in the show, so it makes sense. But also it's like can be confusing. I have trouble distinguishing between people sometimes. I'm like, come on, just let somebody be a redhead, let someone dye their hair blonde for fun, let it just like let me see who they are. But it's fine. There's some like creepy stuff, like if you like the ghosty stuff, I think you'd probably like it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it. Like, I feel like I should try some more. And I hear I think the 6th episode is like the best hour of television ever produced. And I'm like, well, that sounds neat. And then I don't think I actually ever watched the trailer before I watched the show. Because then I watched the trailer after I watched these first 2 episodes. I'm like, man, this makes it look real good. Like, kind of makes me want to watch some more. But then I don't know if I'm going to go back and watch it. So you need to watch it and, let me know what you think. And then maybe it'll make me keep going with it. So, but a lot of people just love it. So I think I'm an outlier. So.
Yeah, definitely want to give it a shot and see how I like it. I just had heard stuff about it, like people talking about it, but I've never watched any of the trailers or anything, so I'm interested in it. I'll have to sit down and watch a couple episodes, and we can do a after October horror check-in.
You should watch that trailer. It's real good. So.
All right. So I actually listened to an audiobook. So a few days ago, I was on Bloody Disgusting, which if you're a big horror fan, definitely bookmark or whatever, Bloody Disgusting. It's a good website. They cover all types of horror and cool stuff like that. And so they had a article talking about this YouTube channel that does audiobooks for out of print slasher books. And the main 2 they talked about was that he has done audiobook readings on Friday the 13th book and a Nightmare on Elm Street book. So the YouTube channel is called the 80s Slasher. Guy's got a nice voice.
Wait,
I'll give him that.
You broke up just a little bit. You said it's the 80s Slasher
Librarian.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. The guy's got a really nice voice. He's really nice. Like he's reading. He does the first about 2 chapters an episode. Mm-hmm. So the first one he does the prologue in chapter 1, and he's kind of like, I don't know if people are gonna like this, but these books are out of print, and to buy them would cost you $500. So figured might as well read them. And yeah, he has an excellent point. Pretty much any Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street stuff that's out of print, mm-hmm. You go on eBay and look it up, and it's $500 to $800. So the first Friday the 13th book he put up is called Friday the 13th: Church of the Divine Psychopath. And so I think this book takes place after part 6, when he is brought back to life and he's been chained to the bottom of Crystal Lake. Uh-huh. Between 6 and 8, I think this takes place in. Because in this book, instead of him being resurrected by something crazy in part 7 or part 8, he is dug out of the water by this church. and he's tied to a cross because you kind of start to see that the pastor, who refers to Jason as the resurrection of Christ, is not all there in the head. And
Huh.
like where I'm at right now, I'm almost done with chapter 2 of the audiobook. Uh, he's about to bring all these people, this like congregation of his church goers, I think it's like roughly like 50 to 60 people. He's gonna bring them to a commune on Camp Crystal Lake. And they're gonna like build a community there where like they worship God. And I guess they think Jason is gonna come back to life and be their god. That's about as far as I've got in the book, and I'm really excited to see where this goes because like it's such a crazy idea. Um,
So right now he's just dead hanging on the cross.
yeah.
Okay.
He's just hanging on the cross. Because like your main character is this woman named Kelly, and like she's like, oh, I've done some bad stuff in my life, and I go to church to kind of like make up for that. But then she also has like a thing for this pastor. Um, and she's like, it usually smells really bad in like the church because like there's no AC, and so like people are sweating
And there's a
because
dead
there's so many
body.
people in there. And she's like, but today it smells like really bad. And then like he gets like 5 dudes to lift up this cross, and he pulls this like curtain off of the cross, and you see Jason's decaying body on the cross, and like there's a maggots falling off of it. And she's like, "Oh, that's where the stench came from." I'm like, how are you guys all okay with this? Because like the next chapter of the book is like these people are like, "Yeah, like he asked us to sell all our stuff and like come with him to this commune, so that's what we did." And like I was like, how are you
Yeah.
okay with this? Like it's becoming clear that this is like going to become a cult,
Yeah.
and
Well,
not
yeah.
a church. Um, and so yeah, he also has a Nightmare on Elm Street book up that I want to listen to, and then he I think just started a book based on Jason X, like what happens after Jason X.
Hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to listening to that one. But yeah, definitely if you're interested in these kind of like out of print books that you're probably not going to find unless you get really lucky at like a thrift store,
Yeah.
give it a listen. So yeah, 80s Slasher Librarian, and I've been listening to the Friday the 13th Church of the Divine Psychopath. I like the name of the book too. Just
It's a
sounds
good
cool.
name. Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Do we
Sam,
want
you've
to
been
hold on? Do we want to make predictions that like at the end of the book they all have turned into serial killers and like that's like it's like a little army of
um
Jasons? Or do
so
you
like
think he just kills them?
the chapters bounce back and forth between this like cop and then also the
Ooh.
church people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what's going to happen is like the cops are going to catch wind of this like cult
Mm-hmm.
and go to stop it, and then I think somehow Jason's going to come back to life. Um,
Oh right, right,
and
right. Oh
probably
yes.
murder all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah. Um,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens because like I was like, why are we learning about this cop guy? And I'm like, I feel like this is gonna come in later, like because like he's nowhere near like Camp Crystal Lake or anything, and like I think he's in California, so I'm like very confused. I was like, I feel like he's gonna make his way out here somehow. I don't know.
Where is Camp Crystal Lake? What state is that in?
I want to say Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, because I was listening to something today. They were talking about Freddy versus Jason, and like they were, but no, it's in New Jersey. I'm gonna look this up.
Okay.
I'm not actually 100% sure. They've never like really given. I'm sure they've given like an actual location, but I'm gonna look it up.
Okay.
Um, yeah. But Sam, you've been reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to tell me about it?
Now let's just skip it.
Okay, cool.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I want to talk about my
Uh,
book. Okay.
Oh, okay. You want to talk about your book?
Yeah, I want to talk about the book. Okay. So, I was reading The Fireman by Joe Hill, which I think the guys on the Optional podcast were talking about this, and like I'd heard of it before, but they were like, "Yeah, it's really good." So I was like, "Okay, let's check it out." I got it from the library, and basically, okay. So first off, Joe Hill. He's a fiction writer, but then he also does comics, and he wrote Lock and Key, which is pretty much my favorite comic of all time. It's kind of a horror comic as well. And I've read a lot of his other books, and so I really enjoy his writing. So the Fireman is about this plague has started in the world, and it's called dragon scale, and people start getting like this black splotches on their skin, and then it has like kind of gold inlays, and like it starts appearing, and like once it starts appearing, like these people have a problem where sometimes they spontaneously combust and catch fire and just burn to death. So it's, it's a problem. And, it just turns into an epidemic and becomes one of those kind of like post-apocalyptic kind of situations. And we're with the point of view of this woman named Harper, who she was a school nurse, but when all this happened, she went to work at the hospital to help out with patients who have the dragon scale. And it's like it's kind of horror because it's like the apocalypse and people are catching fire and burning, and like that's terrifying. But then it does the thing where really the scary stuff is the other people in the world. Because like it becomes a very clear us versus them, and so like anyone who's infected, the non-infected people are trying to lock them up in camps, keep them like separated from everyone, and then like there are vigilante crews that start going out and just taking matters into their own hands and just killing people even before they become a threat. And so I don't want to like say too much because like it's interesting to have the twists and turns as you go through, but some interesting things happen along the way, and just situation just keeps going from bad to worse, really, as you might expect in something like that. But it's a really good read, and it's just like it's one of those where the writing is so good, and like I guess it pulls on your empathy, and like you start just feeling upset for the situation that Harper is placed in a lot of the time. It's like she's just like in a rock and a hard place, and it's like, what is she gonna do in this? Because it's like there's no easy way out. So yeah, it's always cool when a book can like get you in your emotions and like really make you start feeling stuff for the characters. So it's a good read. The title comes from there's a character who dresses like a fireman, so he's the namesake for that. He has an actual name, but like that's also like his nickname, and he's kind of a hero of the book. But yeah, I highly recommend it. It's very good all the way through. So
yeah, Joe Hill's a very good writer. I started reading Heart-Shaped Box by him. I think I got like halfway through that book and I just stopped. I should really go back to that one. But yeah, that sounds really interesting with the spontaneously combusting into flames.
Yeah. Well, and like sometimes it'll be like they'll start like getting real stressed out and they'll just start like smoking, and they'd be like try to like calm down, like don't let it get out of control, don't catch on fire, And then it'll be like cause chain reactions. Like if one person catches on fire, then everyone else freaks out and like a bunch of people will catch on fire. So be a bad way to go. But yeah. The Fireman by Joe Hill. I recommend it.
All right. That's our little horror check-in for the week. But we've also been playing some video games. I've been playing some more Call of Duty Black Ops. And I finally managed to get a win in Blackout. Now here's the thing. So I've been playing Battle Royales for a while. And I want to say like my first couple wins in Fortnite, my heart was racing. But then after that, like it kind of goes away because like it's just kind of
because you got it so much because you're always winning and it's no big deal. Not like some of us who've still never won. It's fine.
H1Z1, like I just never like it never felt very like high stress situation, and like PUBG the same thing. This win, I was sweating. I was in my chair just sweating. I was like, oh god. Like, because it was like the final circle was about to start, and like in these battle royale games, when the final circle starts, like it just starts coming inwards, and like you have to try to like get good positioning, or else you're dead. So like it was about to be the final circle, and there was still like 12 people alive, and I was like, oh shit. Um, I had like 3 kills at the time, and so like I'm moving in, and like luckily like 4 dudes, I guess like blew each other up by throwing nades. It's like, all right, it's only 7 more people. Um, I get into this room, and I'm like, I see my health start going down, but I'm not like my controller, I guess, freaked out and like wasn't
Oh,
vibrating as if I was taking damage.
yeah.
I look across the room, and one of those barricades that shoots out microwave waves is on the other side of the room, and I hadn't noticed it. It was like some dude tucked it into the wall, and it's covering like this entire room I'm in. So I'm like, shit, I gotta get out of the room. So I like fly through the window as fast as possible. And I was like, I'm gonna die. Because I had some healing, but I was like kind of using it very quickly just to like make
Yeah.
sure I was above 100. Because I didn't want to get like 2 shot. Um, and like I'm hearing gunfire left and like all around me. Like it's above me. It's like across from me. I'm like, oh shit! Like I'm gonna like lose this in the final people. I'm gonna be so mad. Uh, and then I guess the rest of the people were just like, we're not gonna notice Cody on the ground crawling around like a little snake, whatever. So I managed to kill one dude, and I think like it's funny, but then like I'm sure like it can lead to bad shit. But when you kill somebody and if their mic is on, you can hear anything they're saying at the time. So I killed this dude, and this dude was like, "Mother," just dropping curse words at me. And I was like, "Oh God." Um, and so at that point I'm up to 4 kills, and I think it's just 4 people left. So I'm like, okay, there's 3 people left. I can do this. I guess the dude who had laid the microwave gun or microwave wall
Mhm.
down had come back to check on it because I see his head poke up, and I'm like, oh. And I had a shotgun, and I just shoot him once, and he just falls over. I was like, okay, he had no health. Whatever. I'm gonna take the kill there.
Yeah.
Um, and then so there's 2 other people left, and the one dude I guess had got into the rafters of this like missile silo.
Okay.
So he's walking around the rafters, and he's shooting down at somebody, but he doesn't see me. So I pick off the dude he's shooting at. I guess there's not an easy way down from the rafters. Like you're kind of trapped up there. And
Yeah.
so the final circle starts happening, and it's closing in. I look up, and he is running around trying to get out of the circle, but he's trapped on these rafters because there's no easy way to get down. And he like I guess finally finds these like stairs, but luckily I'm sitting at the bottom of the stairs. He starts running at me, and I just pop him a couple times. And the last circle does like 20 damage at a time, so he was like no health. And like it comes up and it's like leave no one standing is what they call it. And I was like,
Oh.
fuck yeah. Like I was jumping in the chair, but it was very stressful. Um, and I was like, because like I think like 2 games before, I got into the top 10,
Hmm.
and like I just made a stupid decision where I ran out into an open area with no cover
Yeah.
and thought I'd be fine, and I got like sniped. Um, but like after this win, I was like, I gotta keep playing because like, what if the next game goes well? Uh, Spoiler alert, it did not. Um, I got like destroyed within like 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's fine.
Uh, it's um, I do think the my biggest issue with Blackout after I played like I probably put about 20 hours in now in just
Wow.
Blackout mode. Um, I think my biggest complaint is so there's different levels of armor, but like if you shred someone's armor off and they shred your armor off and like but you win the gunfight and you kill them, you still come out losing in that scenario because you can't pick up their armor because it's shredded.
Yeah.
And so you're running around without armor, and like armor is actually kind of beneficial to have.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you can go and like never find it. So like without it, you just kind of feel naked. Like especially because like unless you find something called a trauma kit, it's the only
Hmm.
way you can get up to 200 health.
Yeah.
Without it, like you can only go to 150. But the armor like lets you take some hits before you start losing health. And so I hope they like address that where like okay like if I beat a dude who has a level 3 armor, it's not instantly gone when I kill them. Like because I think it's like the way their armor works in Call of Duty is if you shoot them anywhere, it counts as armor. Even though like
Hmm.
the actual look is the armor is covering your chest and your head.
Yeah.
So if you shoot someone in like the leg of the arms, maybe don't count that as an armor hit. Because I think in PUBG that's how it works. Like you're only getting armor for your chest and your head.
Okay.
Granted, you're picking those up separate,
Yeah.
whereas in Call of Duty it's one item. Uh, and so maybe like have that. I think if they could introduce a mechanic where like say I do shred somebody's armor and like they have these in the game where like you can pick up there's like a challenge or something to pick up armor scraps.
Oh, huh.
And like I think if you get three and you win the game with a three, you unlock like a character you can make your like person in the game as.
Hmm.
But I think like you could expand upon that and like maybe make it to where like if I get 5 armor pieces, let me
Mm-hmm.
craft like a level 1 armor or level 2 armor. Um, because yeah, like I got really lucky in that final circle where like I had no armor, but I had some healing. But like if that dude on top of the rafters hadn't gotten stuck and like actually realized how to
Mm-hmm.
get down and he had level 3 armor, I probably would have lost that gunfight even if I had the first shot on him because I had no armor. And like I don't know, it just that doesn't feel good. Like because Blackout does feel like a fun mode. Like it feels pretty
Yeah.
balanced. Like which is shocking because in Call of Duty, there's usually something always broken. There's always one gun that's
Mm-hmm.
better than everything. But in Blackout, I haven't ran into anything where I'm like, well, that's bullshit. Like
Yeah.
it's way too strong. Like they should probably nerf that. I haven't ran into that. Not even like vehicles. Like because like the helicopter. I don't know if the helicopter has guns, but like I don't even like want to risk getting into the helicopter after I got shot by a rocket launcher in a boat. I'm not risking it. Like
Yeah.
not today. Um, but yeah, like I think if they can just address that, um, it I think Blackout would be a fairly perfect game mode. Like it's a lot of fun. It's fast paced and like I also don't feel like in like PUBG, I feel like games took forever. And this
Yeah.
one, like, granted, in most battle royales, at least like when I notice Fortnite is everyone jumps out at the start,
Yeah.
and then usually leaves like 40 people are dead
Yeah.
within like a minute of the game. I think in this one, like that still happens, but like at a lesser rate. Like maybe the first a minute, 20 people are gone. So
Yeah.
it's like okay, cool. I think people are smart, and like the map is huge, so like there is room to jump out, and like the storm doesn't feel like it's like you don't feel like you're out of luck if you jump out at let's say there's a place called Asylum, but then the circle's on the other side of the map. Like you don't feel like you're out of luck because like there's enough vehicles, but
Mm-hmm.
also like you have enough time to like loot and then get running.
Okay.
You can just make it there on foot. Um, so yeah, like I think Blackout's a great mode. I just think there could be some tweaks to the armor system to make it a lot better. Um,
I mean,
and
that sounds like just the way stuff works, though. Like the shields in Fortnite, you get shields, you get shot, you lose shields. Like you don't get to pick up somebody else's shields. Seems like it's the same thing.
yeah, but like I agree with you there to a point, but like the also thing is like usually when you kill that person, they're carrying shields. Like
Not necessarily. If they've drunken their shield
I mean,
potion, they don't. They don't. I wouldn't say that
well,
they have shields.
well, with the introduction, like when Fortnite introduced like the mini shields, you can carry up to
Yeah.
10. Like
Oh,
most
like
people can
okay,
have a good supply of those.
okay.
And then like you got like slurp juice and like the chug jugs. Like
So in
there's always
Blackout, can you not carry extra armor? You can just get your own armor, and that's all. Okay. So
just one
maybe if
armor
you
and that's
could
it.
carry extra armor to be prepared,
Yeah,
then
like if
that
they
would
could do that,
help
that'd be
it.
great.
Yeah.
Um, and then like maybe just work on the equipping menu for console because like I watch PC players and like
Hmm.
they're just like flinging their mouse all around, unequipping, re-equipping, and I'm like, I want to put the sight on this gun. No, 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 not that one. Oh shit, I'm gonna be here for a minute now. Um, if they could work on that, that might be a little helpful. Like maybe incorporate some touchpad stuff on PlayStation. Maybe I know Xbox. Most people have the Elite controller where it's got the paddles on the back. You can do something with that.
Who
Um,
says most people have the elite controllers?
okay, some people have the
Stop
Elite controller. Like,
fidgeting with whatever you're fidgeting with.
I'm sorry, I fidget. This is why the camera's usually higher.
Well, it's
Um,
loud. I can hear it in the microphone.
oh God, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um, I don't know, like just if they could rework that, that would also be a big plus in my opinion.
Okay.
But
That's
yeah,
fine.
those are really my only two complaints. Like I think it's a lot of fun. Um, I hopped back into zombies. There was another 10-year-old yelling at me. I
I
just
don't
quit.
know why you keep your headphones on, man. Just mute those people and be like, nope, I'm done.
But like, I like to hear the characters talk and like.
No, like I just like to like when I'm on PlayStation, I just go make my private party, and then I'm just no one can. I don't hear anyone. No one
Yeah,
hears me.
I
It's
should
fine.
probably just do that.
It's fine.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Sam, you've been playing quite a few games, and we actually had to talk about this the other day. So why don't you run me through these real quick?
All right. Let's start with the best of the lot, which maybe isn't saying a lot. Okay. So I played this game called Daylight, which I don't know. It's one of those where I have a thing where like if I see a cool horror game or what looks to be a cool horror game on sale, I'll buy it because I'm like, when horror season rolls around, I'm gonna want to have some games to play. So I think this is one that I bought some time ago. I don't know. It's called Daylight, and no, it's a valid strategy. You want to be prepared for
I mean,
things. You don't want to pass up a sale. Okay. Um.
okay.
So anyway, so Daylight. This is a game which I commented the other day that it reminds me of Grave Encounters, the movie that we just discussed, the horror movie.
Oh yes.
Because it's set in an asylum, there's creepy stuff happening. So in this one, you play as a woman named Sarah. It's a first person, and you just like wake up in this dark place, and you don't know where you are, what's going on. But there's a cell phone on the ground, and you pick that up, and it's like your flashlight. And then as you explore, it also displays your map, so you can see like where you've been. And some weird guy starts talking to you and is telling you about stuff, and you need to go like explore and figure stuff out, and you're like, I don't know, whatever. And so you're just like wandering around this dark, creepy, seems to be some type of hospital or asylum because there's like some gurneys around. And so basically you're just walking around and you'll find these little snippets of things, little notes that you can read. And so like there'll be like about the history of the hospital or what happened with this patient or different things that were going on. And so it's like building for like a pretty creepy story history of this place. And so you wander around for a while and you eventually get to this room that has like this glowing blue like I don't know, like I don't know if it's a pentagram, but it's like something like that on the ground where it looks like some type of witchcraft or something has been going on. And there's also like kind of glowing lines that are like maze-like on the walls. And there are just some random objects that are floating in the air. And so the first time I came across a place like this, I found like this teddy bear floating in the air and I picked it up. And it was like, oh, you're holding the sigil now. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to do with the sigil. So then I just like walked around some more. And then eventually I came to another room that had a kind of that blue glowy writing, drawing stuff going on. And I put the sigil there and that was what you're supposed to do, I guess. And then like something else opened up on the map and then you continue and you go around and you keep doing that. And there's like little puzzles for like how to get around. Like you have to climb some boxes and move some stuff. There are glow sticks that you can pick up. And then apparently there's also flares, but I never found any flares. And so after you've been doing this for a little while, you hear creepy stuff. Like there was like this chest of drawers over here and like the drawers start coming out and going in by themselves, because like a ghost is doing it. Or like you just hear weird things like doors slamming and stuff. So it's building like that creepy atmosphere. But then like there was like this ghost looking woman that appeared and I was like, oh, that looks cool. Like kind of has like the eyes and the mouth have just like the blackness coming out of them, that kind of style. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that looks cool. So I walked over to her to get a better look. And like, I guess like you're really not supposed to do that because like,
yeah,
like the edges of the screen start going dark and it's like, use your flares to scare away the witch or whatever. And so I got my glow stick out and that kind of helped. And then like, I guess you're supposed to run away from her. But like, that was about the point where I was like, well, I don't know, like, the point of this game, if, like, I'm not scared of the lady and, like, I just want to go, like, see the cool looking stuff. And then like I looked online, and it's like 4 chapters, and like each one is like just kind of like you move into a different location, but you're kind of doing the same thing, just wandering around until you find the sigil and you can go put it in the thing. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, but I'm kind of bored. I don't think I need to play this anymore. But I was thinking, like, as I first started playing it, I was like, this is a lot better than Grave Encounters because it's first person, you're controlling it, so like you feel more involved, more in charge of what's happening. So the scares are more meaningful. But it still didn't have enough to keep my interest, though. But I think you would like it because you like that kind of thing, apparently.
Yeah, I have to check this out. Seems like my kind of thing.
Yeah,
Grave Encounters is a good movie.
I think it'd be good. So there's one disappointment. So then, a while back, I'd been Googling trying to find like co-op horror games to play, which I was looking for us, but I didn't find anything good for us. But I found some free ones on Steam for the PC. And so I was talking to Jessica from Bitch Team Alpha. I'm like, hey, do you want to like download these free games and play with me? She's like, sure. She's a real good sport. So we downloaded 2 games. One is called Cry of Fear and one is called No More Room in Hell. And they are both, I believe, based, like, they're Half-Life mods. Like, apparently that's the whole thing. Like, people make lots of games out of that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, whatever, it's fine. So we got online and we were going to try to play them together, but it did not work at all. Like, one of us would, like, build a server, and then, like, the other one would go search for servers, and, like, no servers would appear. So, like, these games are pretty old, and I think, like, parts of them just don't work anymore. So we weren't able to do any of the co-op stuff. So we were like, meh, we're just, we went and played Destiny instead. But later, I went back by myself to just try these out, So I'm like, at least give them the benefit of the doubt. So the first one I tried was No More Room in Hell. And this one is just like a zombie shooter. And so you spawn in and like, I don't know if it's different levels or what, but mine, I was just like in a convenience store or like small grocery store. And I was loading up on stuff. Like there was a gun and like a lead pipe I could get for my melee weapon and stuff. And so you stock up and then like the wave starts and there's like 20 enemies and you have to go shoot all the zombies that you find. And, it's okay. I mean, it's not the greatest shooting, but it wasn't the worst either. And so like I died a few times and then I was like, all right, I got this now. I figured it out. And so like I found a good gun that was like a one-shot headshot. So I liked that one because just the little pistol I had, you had to like give them 2 headshots before they went down. But yeah, so I was playing it and I got to the second wave and it was just like, yeah, now there's 40 zombies that you have to go kill. So I was like, all right, let me go kill some zombies. But then like this message popped up and it was like, all the survivors are dead. You lose or something. And I was like, wait, what? So I think somewhere on the map there were some survivors I was supposed to go find and help or something.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it. And I was like, well, that's enough of that game. That was fun. Let's, move on. So then I tried Cry of Fear. And this one seems really interesting because didn't seem to be a shooter. It was more like just like one of those walking around figuring things out. And it has this pretty decently long cinematic at the beginning. And like some weird quote that I don't remember that was real. Oh, this game, it was like, it had a warning at the front that was like, be careful, like this can cause like suicidal thoughts and da-da-da-da. And we're like, whoa, whatever. But like it starts off with this guy and he sees this other guy on the sidewalk who's like injured and is like, help me. And so he goes to help the guy and then this car comes and just like smashes into him. And then there's like a cut, like a fade to black. And then there's like, it does the thing where it like flashes weird images for a little bit. And then you wake up and you're just in this room and like it's all kind of blurry at first. And then you realize you've got a camera in your hand. And so you like take a picture and like it clears a little bit. And then you take another picture until it like clears. And so then what you do is you like walk over, like you see this like X on the door. And so you take a picture of it and the door opens. And then you walk through and it's just like total blackness. But there will be these white X's. And so you point the camera and take a picture at the X. And sometimes there's nothing there. Sometimes it'll reveal a dead body and it'll just flash for a second and then it'll disappear again. And then sometimes it'll reveal the doorway to lead you to the next room. And so you're just going through here. And it was a really cool concept. Like I started playing, I was like, this is neat. I'm like, hold on a second. I need to go turn the lights off in the room so it'll be more scary. So I was like, yeah, this is really cool. So I'm going for like 3 minutes maybe, and then I get to this part where I take the picture and it was like a window and the window breaks, and then I can see the X through the window, and like I click it and there's like a door through the window, but like there's no way for me to get through the window. Like I'm pushing all the buttons and like trying to climb through, and I'm like, I don't know how to get through the window. And I'm like looking all around the room and there's like nothing else there, and I go back in the other room and there's like no other X's, and I'm like, somehow I'm supposed to get through this window, but I don't know how. And so like I Googled a walkthrough, and it's like, yeah, just like click, shoot pictures of all the X's until you get out of that room, and then you can get to the real game. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I don't know. And I was like, maybe it's some weird glitch. So I was like, I was really into this. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to restart the game and sit through this really long cutscene until I can get through and like try to do it again. The exact same thing happened. Like, I couldn't get through this window and I couldn't figure it out. And I got really mad and then I stopped. So yeah, that was 3 really disappointing horror games for me this week. So...
And so we had a discussion, and I was like, Sam, do you know how you don't get disappointed by bad games? Don't download bad games.
Yeah. I didn't know it was bad at the time. No, I should have known. If it's a free game, it's That's not true. Fortnite is a free game, and it's very good. There's free games. But no, I should have known better.
Just Google some reviews real quick, maybe?
I guess I could do that. But I mean, the reviews were probably from like years ago when it first came out, and it probably was good back then.
I mean,
yeah, I don't even want to tell you about this other game I got called Unknown City that was $2 on sale, and it was a zombie shooter, and it was the worst thing I've ever played. It was so horrible. So maybe I've learned my lesson. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. Honestly,
probably not. You're still probably going to buy games that are on sale.
Hey, I think Slain Back from Hell was on sale, and I mean, it was a good game. It wasn't my kind of game, but still, I don't think that was a mistake. So, no. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, I guess.
What are you going to do? So,
win more.
Ideally, win more, but, I mean, it's RNG. I can't help it, Cody.
Oh, good point, yeah. Alright. Let's do a quick Destiny download real quick. So big news for me. You guys can start referring to me as Dredgen Cody, because I earned the title from Gambit this week.
Should you maybe explain what a title is for people who might not know?
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't know.
So, in Forsaken, they added the Triumph page. And at the bottom of the Triumph page is these things called seals. And there's different Triumphs in the seal page that you have to do. And if you do all of them, you will unlock a title. So I kind of looked through when they first came out, and I was like, oh, the Crucible one sounds cool. So I clicked on the Crucible one, because it's unbroken. It's the Crucible one. And I was looking through it, and it was like, reset your glory rank 3 times across 3 seasons. And I went, I hate competitive.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Clicked off that one. So I was like, oh, this one sounds cool. I'm not sure how hard that'll be. And then I click on the Gambit one, and it says Dredgen. And I remember Dredgen from Destiny 1, because there's a character named Dredgen Yor, and he's like an evil guardian. And I was like, that sounds cool. And I was looking through it, and I was like, I can do this stuff. Like, I'll figure out what those secret ones are. I'm going to do this. So I started going for it, and, like, I complained a lot about it along the way. But overall, I think my experience was, like, really good. Like, I got the 3 resets I needed. The first reset was mainly solo. The second one, I did LFG. Look for a group of teammates to do it with, and then my third one I mainly did solo, and then everything else, like, it's just really about like, okay, like, this game I'm gonna look for high value targets. Oh, I need to win a game against each different enemy race. I can do that. It's not that hard. It'll happen eventually. I will say, good lord, there's some people that go into Gambit and they just don't know. Like, they don't know what's going on, like, at all.
They could have little quests or separate things that they're working on, and that is their primary objective. FYI, they might. Yeah. I mean, you
know. So in Gambit, there's different ranks, and when you hit the Legend rank, you have to get 3,000 points. And up until then, even if you lose, you'll get some points.
I'm sorry. The cat has gone in the closet with the computer, and I'm very concerned. I just want her out of there.
Okay.
Hey. Where are you? Are you in here?
Sam has lost her cat.
Hey, stay out of there.
She's now harassing the cat.
Don't go in there. You're gonna get kicked out.
Maybe you should close the door. Oh, stop yelling at the cat. What's that walk? Why was she waddling? Yeah, close the door. Don't yell at the cat for no reason.
Sorry about that. I could just see her jumping on the computer and like canceling the whole recording or something.
Yeah, that would have been bad. So yeah, where was it? Oh, so when you hit Legend Rank, you have to get 3,000 points, but up until then, even if you lost a game, you got about like 50 points. And once you hit Legend, that doesn't happen anymore. You can only get by wins.
Okay.
And so I was working on my last reset, and I noticed when they did the Triple Valor, I would sometimes get Double Infamy, which is the ranking in Gambit. And I was like, oh, I wonder if this is a bug. Because, like, you usually get 100 points for a win, and I noticed I was getting, like, 200. So I was like, I'm going to go for it. Like, I'm doing it this weekend. That last 500 points before I could reset was some of the most, like, mind-numbing and hateful comments I've probably ever said to myself. Because I was like, you're stupid for doing this, Cody. Like, why are you doing this?
Well, let me point out that you pushed yourself to do this, but you had until probably December where you could have completed this. You didn't have to force yourself to do this right now. You're just a madman.
Yeah. On the 30th, so tomorrow, after this comes out, they're releasing an update that's going to make it where the meatball boss spawns more often. And the meatball boss drops a quest that gets you an exotic gun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the triumphs. And like I was like, I'm doing that before they updated and make this easier. Like I want to do this when it's hard. And
that's what she said.
She said, God damn you. I beat you to it. But so in my last like 10 games to get the last reset, I had a guy who would only get 10 or 15 motes. Not in between, wouldn't stop at 11 and go bank. It wouldn't even bank. He would get 10 to 15 and then go invade. And die instantly each time.
Oh no.
So it was. And
That's
then
horrible.
like I had a game where we only needed one mote, and this dude had 4. And I was like, oh, we're good. He's running at the bank. I'm like, we're good. We're gonna get the Primeval Summon. We're gonna win this. He stops in front of the bank, cuts a sharp right, jumps through the portal.
No.
And like I was like, oh my god. So I have to book it across the map, kill something to get one mote to come turn in. And then I finally did it at like 1 in the morning. I got it, went and bought the ghost, got my title, turned it on, walked into the center of the tower, and people flocked to me as if I was the second coming of Christ. They stood around me, they danced on me. Because apparently seeing someone in the tower with the title is pretty rare. And I was like, all is right in the world. I have not stepped foot in Gambit since. Just fuck that. No, I'm just kidding. Game is a lot of fun. I am a little angry because I found out next week they're doing double infamy.
Yeah.
And then a triple infamy weekend. So good luck to all you people going for the Gambit title. I'm done with it though. I'm excited for early next year they're gonna have the Joker's Wild DLC, and it's supposed to bring updates to Gambit. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. Like I said, the Drifter is like one of my favorite characters. He's hilarious. He has some dialogue with you when you get the title. Like he's who calls you Dredgen first. He's like, oh, we're gonna call you Dredgen, and I'm like, fuck yeah, like thank you, like, hell yeah. And then one minor complaint is, so part of the Bungie reward for getting any of these titles is you get like this really nice like medallion pin. It's in a nice case. It's $20. I was like, I'm fine with that. Like, I'll pay the $20. They went $9 shipping for just one pin, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Not today. So I'm gonna wait until I get my other title that I'm working on. and get 2 for $9. So
Are you sure that if you get 2, the shipping stays $9? What if you get 2, put it in your cart, and it says shipping $18?
then me and Bungie are gonna have a sit down conversation about how they're doing shipping because these are just metal fucking pins. Like, come on. Like, no,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah, but overall, happy I got my title. I'm working on some other things. There's no title I'm working for, and then there's a gun related to Crucible that I'm working on. But I have until December, as you said, so I'm not sweating it.
I was thinking about
Sam,
it.
do
I
you
was
have
like,
anything?
I think I should give you my login and just like have you play under my account sometimes, and
Oh,
then you
okay,
can get
yeah.
me those fragmented souls, no problem. I think it'd be great. I think it's a really good plan.
Um, I mean, the only issue with that, and this is a sneak peek for next week, is Red Dead's about to come out,
Hmm.
and so if I'm not, a lot of my time is going to go to that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Whatever, it's fine. Um, in my little Destiny download, I didn't think I had anything, but I just remembered. The other night, Jessica and I were playing, and we were testing out her computer for streaming for Extra Life. So we just like go down to a
mhm.
planet where there's some activity, and we'll just make sure it was okay. So we're doing that. We're like testing the stream while Escalation Protocol's going on, and so then we get done, and it's like at level 3 of Escalation Protocol. So we're like, all right, let's just hang out here and do this. And we completed Escalation Protocol, and that's my first time to ever do that. And
Oh,
we got to
nice.
the end, and there's that chest, and it's like, hey, you don't have your key to unlock this chest. And I was like, son of a bitch. And I was like, I remember now talking to Cody about this, and he was like, yeah, you got to make sure you have your key before you do Escalation Protocol. And I was like, what about these poor bastards that don't know that? And then they get to the end of Escalation Protocol, and they're like, why don't I get this chest? And I was like, oh, it's all coming back to me now. And I was so mad. And I was just like, man, that sucks. So
Did either of y'all get one of the cool weapons from the final boss?
I don't recall. I
Oh,
guess not.
there's a shotgun you can get from that. It's really good. So if you
What's it called?
the Ikelos SG and there's some numbers after it. There's also a sniper rifle and a submachine gun, and they're all really good. So
I feel like I probably got the submachine gun because I hate submachine guns. So I don't know, but I don't recall. So it must not have been that memorable. But yeah, that's all I got for Destiny. So
all right,
yeah.
so that's what we've been playing and stuff. But now we're moving on to the entree of our
Wait,
podcast.
wait, 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 wait. Do we have something planned for dessert? Because now I'm hungry.
That's the after credit scene that
Oh,
you have
okay.
to watch the video
Okay,
for.
cool. Cool, cool, cool.
Um, so yeah, I've been kind of planning this out for a while now. I've been doing a lot of research into horror video games. Just because like I'm very fascinated by horror video games because like the kind of rise of them as of late, like I feel like as a gamer, I was not paying attention to horror games maybe, but I just feel like with Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th, Until Dawn, Resident Evil 7, like we're now seeing this kind of rise and horror video games are actually like not this niche thing for like certain people, like a lot of people want to play them. Like Resident Evil 2 is getting a remake.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these cool horror games coming out, like Call of Cthulhu comes out next week. It looks really good. And so like I just was like, well, I want to research horror video games. Like I want to know cool stuff about them. Um, and so I kind of composed this brief history of horror video games, and then we're kind of going to talk about like different types, and then we got some off-brand topics for it. So yeah, in the 1970s, the when I was doing research, this is what a lot of people agreed on as the first horror video game. And so it's this game called Killer Shark, and it was an arcade cabinet that released in 1970, or the 1970s. I don't know the exact year. And it pretty much had you shooting a light gun at a giant shark. Now, this is pretty infamous because this actually made an appearance in Jaws the movie. Like, so that's pretty cool that like an arcade cabinet got featured
Yeah.
because it's a shark. Um, but then like not long after this happened, like everyone I kind of was researching said the first real horror game came out in the 80s and it was called Haunted House. And like everyone's like, "Oh, this is also the first survival horror game." And I was like, okay. And this is kind of where later on we'll talk about it. Uh, I started to see some issues with like what we're considering genres in horror, but we'll talk about that later. Um, Now, Sam, we both watched a video of Haunted House. And what were your thoughts on that video game?
I felt so bad for people who these were the only video games they had back then because I was
Yeah,
like, oh my god, this looks like I don't even understand what the point of this game is. Like, you can't tell it's a house. It's just
yeah,
like it's okay. This is clearly 8-bit graphics. Thank you to Byron. He gave me a little bit of a lesson here on the bits, so I know a thing or two, just one or two. But so this it has just like, like kind of like walls on the side, and so like there's two kind of
yeah,
sides to the room, and you can go back and forth and you can go up and down to go into different rooms. And sometimes you're just eyeballs, and then sometimes you're eyeballs with like a little ball around you, and you're
yeah.
just going back and forth to different rooms, and there's like maybe some other stuff that like pops around, but it's not clear at all what the point of this game is to me. Were you able to understand what was happening in this game?
No, I had to watch like multiple videos, and I found a guy who actually was like reviewing it and explaining what you had to do. And even then, I was like, I don't know how you would like put that together. Like, if I was a kid trying to play this, I would have been so lost.
Back
Um,
in the day, video games came with a little instruction book, and it would tell you what was happening and what to do. So good for them. They needed that because you're not figuring that shit out just playing it.
yeah. Um, yeah. So this is kind of what like people think of as the first true horror video game.
It was horror because it was like just it was such like it would kill you just to play it.
Um, so through my research, I kind of figured that like, all right, I know eventually we're gonna hit a period where like every movie and TV show and all that needs to be a video game. Uh, and so also in the 80s, like I noticed there's a lot of cash grabs.
Mhm.
Like John Carpenter's Halloween had a video game, and Ghostbusters had a video game. Um, John Carpenter's Halloween looked, and like I understand like it's dated and like compared to what we have now, but it looked very fucking weird. Um, Also,
But
the soundtrack was like a weird, like off-tune version of the John Carpenter theme. Like it was just a little out of touch, and I was like, huh, that's weird.
okay, but let's just clarify. It was still definitely a major step up from Haunted House. Uh,
Oh yeah,
it
yeah,
was, like you could at least see like there were these little kids running around. You were supposed to collect the child and like take it to safety. It wasn't clear how like you collected this child. It was fine. You're running from Michael at the same time, but it was a lot
yeah.
better. It was not anywhere near something I would call good, but it was better.
Um, and so like something really cool that I found out while doing this, because like in my head, I was like, all right, there's the NES Friday 13th game, and then there's Friday 13th the game out on consoles right now. There's no other Friday 13th games. No, that's not true at all. The Commodore 64 actually had a game called Friday 13th, the computer game.
Hmm.
And apparently this one actually was more in line with the movies than the NES one. Because the NES one was like kind of hokey because it was different colored. Like Jason is like
Oh.
purple in
Hmm.
that. And this one actually like featured the gameplay was apparently you had to try to keep people calm, and if you didn't, it would like fade to black, and then it would come back, and there'd be a severed head with a machete through it.
Oh shit.
I was like, oh, that's pretty fucking hardcore. Like, hell yeah. Um, but yeah, I was shocked to hear that there was another Friday the 13th game that I had never heard about up until I was doing research, and like, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it seemed like here we go, another I'd say major step up, because this one, like all these are the 8-bit graphics, okay, guys, but this one, and again, like you're going from room to room, and then you go out in the woods and you do stuff and you're walking around, and like they're different characters, and I think it like had a little picture of each of the characters down at the bottom, like for reference maybe, but the video
I
I
think so,
was
yeah.
watching, like I don't think this person could tell like who was Jason and who wasn't, because like every person they came to, they would like smack at him with their weapon and see if it was Jason. And like one time they killed Jason, and I was like, I don't know how you could tell that was Jason. So I don't know, but I feel like this game kind of the graphics weren't quite there, but it seemed like a little reminiscent of like the early Zelda games as far as like,
Yeah,
going around
I'd
moving
agree with
around
that.
that way. It seemed similar to that. So it seemed like a major step up for people. So good for the people who got to play that one. I mean, they just kept getting better. Um, Fun story. So I was looking for the original Halloween video game, and apparently the first thing I found was not the original Halloween video game, but it looked really cool, and I couldn't figure out what this was from, when it was from, but I can tell you, based on my new knowledge, that it seemed like it was definitely 64-bit graphics, okay? And no,
Timeout.
no what?
I feel like you are taking this history lesson or this bit lesson that Byron gave you, and you're just gonna like become a wizard and calling out bits.
I'm gonna try. I
Okay.
like improving. So, um, but this Halloween game was really cool because you play this girl Sarah who goes to babysit this kid Billy, and so there'll be little scenes, and then you'll have like options. So like the parents will say something to you before they leave, and like you can be like, "Can I get the phone number where you'll be?" Or you can say, "Can I get paid now?" And so like you have options that you can pick, and then like you have to run around and like find stuff, like there'll be a locked door and you have to go find the key before you can get in there, and that part seemed really boring, and I was like, I don't want to wander through this house, do this. Little Billy is quite a little punk. But eventually Michael Myers shows up, and oh, before that, like you had called this guy that you like. Oh wait, okay, so you called the guy you like to come over and hang out, and then also you were calling your best friend Jill. And so at one point Jill picks up and you're like, "Hey, this is Sarah," and she's like, "Michelle Gellar?" And I'm like, "What?" It was really funny. And like, she's like, "Yeah, call your boyfriend, you slut." And I'm like, "Whoa, what's this game doing?"
What the hell?
I know, but it's really funny. So Michael shows up. The boyfriend gets like impaled against a fence, so he's dead. And then you have to go back in the house, unlock some more stuff, find the revolver, and then you have to like kill in air quotes Michael, and then go get Billy and drive to safety. And then at the end of the game, like you're talking to the cop, and he's like, "Okay, well, I don't want to alarm you, but like when my guys got there, the body was gone." So it's like clearly a setup for the next game. But it was like a really interesting game, and I thought like I thought that was the first Halloween. I was like, yeah, that was a really cool game. But no, there was an earlier one. So
All right. And so like when we move into the 90s, we kind of get like I would say probably the two biggest franchises in for video games, and that's Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Um, and like I don't know what Resident Evil's doing, but like they were popping the games out left and right because like within the entire span of the 90s, we got three games. And I'm sure that I think there was a spin-off as well. That's what I was reading. Um,
The Evil Within.
but yeah, like
I mean, I think.
uh, Resident Evil.
Well, okay, but I think someone who worked on Resident Evil also worked on Evil Within, and it's similar. So I didn't know if
Yeah.
that's where you were going with the spin-off, or if you were talking about something else.
Oh no. Like because isn't there like Resident Evil like Code Veronica
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Zero? Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Um, and then as we move into the 2000s, we get big franchises in Dead Rising and Dead Space, which I would say are Dead Rising is still around, but Dead Space it's been a while, but
Yeah.
um, I think those games kind of like changed the game when they came out, because for a while their horror shooters were kind of you know getting lackluster, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we have your favorite game, Sam, Resident Evil 4 has come out, and then Silent Hill also had Silent Hill 2 come out. So like we're still seeing franchises stick around, even though we're moving into a new generation. Um, and then like as we kind of moved into like recent times, like I would say some of the biggest games that have come out would be Outlast. Until Dawn was wildly successful. I think Evil Within 2 was really good, and Evil Within 1, like they both kind of, because like you were saying a second ago, like I want to say one of the original guys who worked on Resident Evil
Mm-hmm.
left, and it was making those, and I think those are pretty widely liked. Like,
Yeah. Well, and like I always said, like when I played Evil Within the first one, I felt like that was the actual like spiritual successor to Resident Evil 4 because it just felt so much like it, and I'd be on levels and I'd be like, I could see this being a world in Resident Evil games. Like it was just like it felt so right for it. So yeah.
Um, Also, like, I think something really good to see is like Resident Evil has stuck around for over two decades now, and like Resident Evil 7 was really like amazing, and they're about to make remake two, so like Resident Evil doing really good.
Yeah.
And then rebooted Doom, doing really well because they're about to make Doom 2, and so like, and I feel like a lot of people wouldn't consider Doom a horror game, but I think it counts.
Well,
We'll talk about
we'll
that.
talk about that. Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, like that's just kind of like a brief. Like I was doing some research and I was like, oh, like let's go through the history of video
Yeah.
games, horror video games, and see how they released and stuff. Um, and then I was like, well, there's a bunch of different types, and like let's talk about those before like maybe we discuss like what our favorite ones are. Um, so like the different types, I have asymmetrical horror games, which is a very like the biggest examples of these as of late would be Dead by Daylight and Friday 13, where it's almost a competitive horror game where you have usually someone's playing a killer, and then there are people playing as either like survivors or counselors in the case of Friday 13th. And like the entire vibe is to either the killer, kill the counselor survivors, or if you're survivors, survive. And I think it adds like a nice level of competitiveness like to it because like in most horror games, it's just like you by yourself. This is you versus other players, and so it adds a new element to horror video games. Um,
Quick question. This just occurred to me. Do you think they would ever make a game where it was one hero versus a bunch of killers and like everybody's like has these weird evil weapons and stuff, and like your hero would have some special abilities, I'm sure, to be able to make it competitive. But like they're the good guy and they have to kill all the bad guys.
like where other people are playing the bad guys,
Yeah.
or oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, do you just mean any other video game? Because like, um, I'm trying to think if there's a game like that.
Because, like, if you could take
Guess not.
all of the bad guys' options from Dead by Daylight and put them in, like, one match against, like, a real powerful hero, like, I think that'd be really cool.
Like, do like Ash from Ash vs. Evil or the Evil Dead series
Yeah.
versus like,
Oh, that'd be
that'd be
cool.
kind of cool.
That'd be
That
really
would be.
cool. I like
Um,
it.
Not sure how well it would go, but we could find out. Um, so then we have survival horror, which is the main point of these games is like it forces you to survive, like in Outlast, how you have to survive like these wild, insane asylum people that are running around. In Resident Evil, you have to stay away from the zombies that are coming at you.
And you have
Um,
limited resources and sometimes no resources. Sometimes running is the only option.
yeah. Um, we have horror adventure, where the only real game I could come up with for this one is Until Dawn, because it's kind of like a choose your own adventure narrative story, um, where like your actions decide a character's fate. I can't really think off the top of my head any other games that would fit into this genre. I mean, I think Until Dawn did a great job with
Yeah.
this. Um, and then we have horde shooters, so like Doom and Dead Space, how like you are playing a shooter in a like very scary place. Like Doom, you're on Mars, and there's all these demons.
Mm-hmm.
Dead Space, you're usually in like an abandoned ship, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
correct, right?
Yeah.
And like there's these monsters running around, and so like that's what a horror shooter is. Um, and so like while I was doing this research, like one of the big things that came up for me is like I think there's an issue with genres of horror games, because I feel like a lot of them get lumped into survival horror. Like Resident Evil and Outlast technically are both survival horror, but if like you look at those games, the gameplay is so wildly different
Mm-hmm.
because like in Resident Evil you fight back. Meanwhile, you have Outlast where it's you're just running, like doing
Mm-hmm.
parkour pretty much.
You can
Um,
hide also.
you can hide as well. Uh, and so I feel like if we look at like horror and like movies, like there are so many genres of horror movies.
Hmm.
So why do we not do the same thing with video games? And like I guess like a simple answer to that I think would just be like, well, we don't want to overcomplicate things
Yeah.
because like I guess for certain people like they would look into it, but like the general marketplace, you're just buying a scary game because it's scary. You don't really care what it's called. Like I don't know, like I think there could be some differentiation between that. Like Resident Evil was obviously very different than Outlast.
Yeah, and like I feel like Resident Evil, I mean it is a shooter.
Yeah,
But I mean for a significant part of the game, especially Resident Evil 7, like you're not doing any shooting. You don't have any
yeah,
weapons yet. So it's like it's it's maybe it could be a survival shooter. That's a lot. That's you start getting into a lot of words. A survival horror shooter. 'Cause that explains
yeah. But
it.
I feel like that would be more accurate for Resident Evil. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't like. I feel like most of the research I was doing, like it was just everything was considered a survival horror game, and I was just like, why are we just lumping everything into one category? Like, I feel like
Hmm.
we could, it just felt lazy at some points.
Yeah.
Like, because like technically, if you want to think about it, like asymmetrical horror games are technically a survival horror game
Yeah.
because the people who are surviving are trying to survive. Um, Dead Space could be considered a survival horror game, I guess, because you're running on limited resources and things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Really,
but
they have
I don't know.
like
It's something that was bugging me while I was doing the research. I was like, I don't. Why is everything a survival horror game? What's that about?
I think we forgot a genre that is horror puzzles. Um it's like
Oh
the
yeah,
cuz like
yeah.
we just had Friday the 13th Killer Puzzles come out this year, and that one's a fun
Right.
one. But then also I would say stuff like Limbo and Inside. I mean, I guess they're
Yeah.
kind of horror platformer puzzles. But like
Oh, yeah.
I think those qualify. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Good
many
catch.
horror.
Um, and then like something I saw like widely disputed was like what qualifies as a horror game. And like I think we've had a discussion about this where like Hellblade for us,
Hmm.
I think qualifies as a horror game because like yes, it's mainly about the psychological like what the game is doing to you, but like there are horror elements. There's an entire level of that game that is terrifying. Like there are multiple things that happen in the game that are terrifying. So
Yeah.
like what is there any games that like some people wouldn't consider a horror game, but you do consider a horror game?
I'd say so. I'm gonna say something real wild. He'll just like I've been playing Strange Brigade, and like I feel like technically that can be a horror game. Now it's
Yeah.
a action shooter, and it's fucking hilarious. The narrator is fun. They're making jokes all the time. It's a lot of fun, but you're fighting these zombies and these monsters, and like there'll be jump scares to spook you, like you're
Yeah.
going into tombs and stuff. And then like if you're fighting some enemies over here, like it gives you this warning, and so there'll be like these dark hands that start clawing at the edge of the screen, like to the side, to let you know that there's someone about to
Yeah.
come at you from this side. So I mean it has horror elements, and I think if it has the elements, like it can count. Like not everything has to be like super scary and terrifying to be a horror
Yeah.
game, because I mean people like different levels of horror. Like you might like your fun zombie shooter game, instead of like something that's like truly terrifying. So that's like one example for me. Also, like I've said before, like I feel like those Tomb Raider games could just like totally be horror games, because like you go through these tombs, you're like in rivers of blood. There's like dead bodies everywhere. The most Shadow of the Tomb Raider is there was like this fight with a jaguar where it's stalking you, and that's like really scary. So like anything can throw in some horror elements there and just kind of take you by surprise with it. I don't know, what are some that you think of, Cody?
I think like one that kind of comes to mind is like there were some elements in like those I think God of War 3 where you had to go into hell
Hmm.
or the underworld. Um and like not only are you kind of walking through and like fighting off like demons, you're also like there are not jump scares but like creepy voices hitting you
Mm.
because like you're in the world of the souls and all that. Uh and then the final boss with Hades and God of War 3 like is very scary because like it's all dark and grim in some parts, and then like lit up by fire because he's got like fire
Yeah.
all over him. Um, so yeah, I would say like God of War 3 is one that comes to mind where I could feel like that'd be a horror game as well. Um, I want to say Halo 2, because when the introduction of the flood happens in that game, it's very terrifying because it's always dark and creepy when the flood
Okay.
show up, and the flood are like these parasitic monsters, and like they'll infect like soldiers or the aliens or all that, and like it's usually really dark when they show up. Like you have to have like the light on your submachine going on or something like that.
Yeah.
And like when like say they infect a soldier, they'll like get all bloated and huge, and if you shoot it and pop it, all these tiny little parasites come running
Ugh.
at you, and they're like little spiders.
Yeah.
Um, and like I definitely remember like being younger and being afraid of those levels. Like I did not enjoy playing them because like how creepy they were. So yeah, like the Halo 2, stuff with the flood definitely like horror-esque.
Well, and I'd say anything where it like puts you in a dark space and you have to use like a small
Yeah.
light, I think that immediately puts you in a horror vibe right there.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah. Um, so Sam, like, what is your favorite type of horror game?
Um, I like those horror shooters because, I love my action. Like, I really want to like just like the straight up survival, like the Outlasts, because those do such a good job of really getting you in the environment and feeling scared and just like waiting for something bad to happen. But like, I get bored easily sometimes. So like sometimes it's not worth it to slog through all of that just to get some scares. Um so if I can be shooting things while also having that, then like that's like the perfect balance for me. So like a Dead Space or like a Resident Evil 7. Um Definitely like those. But what are your kind of favorite horror?
I think it's pretty well known about me that I really love Friday the 13th the game. So like asymmetrical horror games, like I love Friday the 13th and Dead by Daylight. It's a lot of fun as well. Um, I think these are kind of like revolutionary, because like the aspect of playing against another player and not against another like AI is a lot of fun to me because as a challenge. Like I don't know if the Jason I play in this game is going to be just like the Jason I play in the next game. Um, and like that adds a different level to it. And Dead by Daylight, like I think with Dead by Daylight, you can either play as a killer or you can play as a survivor, and you actually get to pick that. Where in
Mhm.
Friday the 13th, it's pretty random. Like you can select, like I prefer to play as Jason. You're like not 100% gonna get Jason.
Yeah.
Um, and so like going into each of those game modes, like you have a different mindset. Like, all right, going as a killer, like maybe I should, have some perks that do this. And if you're going as a survivor, it's like, all right, well, do I want to be a team player? Do I want to like focus on myself and like, and if I'm focusing on myself, I should run like self-care so I can heal myself because no one else is gonna heal me. Um, Stuff like that. Uh, and like they're just a blast because like you can go in there and be like a solo player and like kind of focus on what you're doing, but like it forces cooperation at some point because like you can't do everything by yourself. You kind of can, but like you can't fix that entire car by yourself unless someone is over there getting chased by Jason. You can't fix all those generators unless someone's
Yeah.
kiting Leatherface through a building. Um, but then like also like I can't talk enough about like Until Dawn is like the perfect horror game for me. Like
Mhm.
the fact that like you're kind of going through this almost video game movie and like you're making the choices and like it's it's just stunning and it's amazing. Like playing it, I was like, I've never played anything like this. I've never even like heard of anything like this, and like it was a lot of fun. Like just to sit there and like really think about your decisions. Like most of the time you had to do it quickly, but like there are some you can kind of sit there and like you know take your time with a little bit. Um, And like I'm excited for the next one with Man of Medan because I feel like it's gonna be equally as good. A new location's gonna be a lot of fun. Um, and like I kind of hope we see more of those. And like I would say like Telltale games could be considered horror adventure games.
Yeah.
Because there was like The Walking Dead, like you're
Hmm.
making your own choices and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But like with like Telltale closing down recently, like I hope another studio steps up and like looks into making these games because like I think Until Dawn is a very it did well and like I would like to see more games like it.
Well, and also like Until Dawn was like very cinematic, and like the
Yeah.
graphics were like fantastic to make it really look and feel like a movie more than the kind of flatter graphic style that
Yeah.
some of the Telltale stuff has.
Uh, yeah, I just kind of, hope that other people start making more horror adventure games because those are also really a genre I like. Um, I like me some horror shooters. Like
Well,
I
yeah,
haven't got that far in Doom. Like I like shooters in general, so a
yeah.
horror shooter I'm in for. Um, but yeah.
Okay, real quick, I just thought of something. So if you could like try to imagine what like a new type of horror game might be, can you come up with something? And while you're thinking about it, let me tell you what just popped into my head. Because I was like, what if there was like it's not well formed out thought, okay? But what if there was some kind of game where it was like a kind of haunted house type thing, and it was the asymmetrical again. So there's one person who is like navigating through the house and trying to find their way out, and the other people aren't necessarily trying to harm that person, but they have the ability to like set up little jump scares or little things, or like they'll be able
Ah,
to like if the person comes by them, they'll be able to like shout into the microphone and scare them, or like have
okay.
different things like pop up and
That
scare
would be
them, or
cool.
like they'll be able to like lift a vase by itself or something and make it look like a ghost, and just have different haunting abilities that they could do to like make it a scary journey through the house. I think that could be interesting, but I don't really know how it would work. Because ideally, like you'd have some time beforehand to like plan and set stuff up, but
Yeah.
then that'd be really boring for the person who's going to be doing it because they just have to sit there and wait for it. So I don't know, but I think could be fun.
I think instead of just being one person in the house, like a similar thing would be like maybe have like it'd be like a 4v4
Okay.
where like there's four people and like the idea is like to keep people in the house.
Yeah.
And like they would be able to like
Like there's just a
say there's like
time limit.
yeah, there's a time limit, but also like say there's keys in the
Oh,
building
yeah.
that people have to find. And the
Yeah.
four people who are like trying to scare people is can also like knock stuff over, like, to cover up the keys. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
kind of cool. It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, I can't really think of a new type of horror game.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I would maybe just more like horror adventure games where like Hellblade, but like maybe crank it up a couple more notches for it's all scary all the time. Uh, I mean, let's go crazy here. Let's do a horror fighting game where it's just all the different
I was just thinking that.
monsters and like slashers. Like, let's get some Dracula versus Freddy Krueger in there.
Well, I was
You
just
know,
thinking make an underworld game, and so it's werewolves versus vampires, and it's like a multiplayer, not a shooter, but a combat game of some sort.
yeah,
That could be cool. I
it's
like
like
it.
there was that Mortal Kombat game. I think it was Mortal Kombat 10 or whatever. That like Jason, Leatherface, like the DLC characters, like they've been in fights.
You're kind of breaking up on me, Cody, a little bit there. Now you're a little bit frozen. Can you hear me? I can see you moving a little bit.
Okay.
Are you talking? Are you? Are,
Yes. Can you hear me?
yes. Okay, but you still keep freezing. Um,
Yeah, it's still freezing. If
yeah.
that helps.
Uh, should we leave the call and come back?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll call you right back.
So yeah, Mortal Kombat X, I want to say, had Jason, Leatherface, Alien, and Predator. So like, there is like precedence there for a horror fighting game, and like
Yeah.
it'd be kind of cool, like just because you're never gonna see like Michael Myers versus Chucky in like a movie, so like fuck it, let's just have it happen in a fighting game.
That's
It's
awesome.
something crazy. I don't think it would sell very well, but I'd buy it.
You would buy a Killer Clowns from Outer Space video game if they made one of those.
Yes, I would. Sci-Fi is remaking that
Oh,
movie, and I'm like worried because like the first one is just like the original is just really like bizarre and
yeah.
thing, so I'm worried about that.
Yeah, that's not
Uh,
necessary, but that's fine.
yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed our trip through horror video game history and like talking about the different horror games. Like, I've really grown to appreciate horror video games. Like, I'm glad I got to play Resident Evil game with you, Sam. Yep, I saw the freezing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just kind of cutting out a little bit. Um
Okay. All right.
just try again.
Okay. Uh, Thank you guys for listening to our talk about horror. All right, so good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can
you
we just
blinked. I
keep
was
a
like, I should.
thumbs up when you're I'll keep a
Yeah,
thumbs up
yeah. How
until
about
you're
that?
good.
Just give me a thumbs up. So thank you guys for listening to our talk about horror. I hope you enjoyed listening about this kind of some history, different types, stuff like that. Um, I've really grown to appreciate horror games over the past few years. Sam, I know, has been a long time fan with the Resident Evil series and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This is kind of like our Halloween episode. So
Yeah.
thank you guys. Sam, is there anything else you want to say about horror games?
Nah, I think we're good.
All right. So, you'd like to get in contact with us, you can reach out to us at contact@geekcardgames.com. We're on Twitter and Facebook at geekcardgames. You can join our Discord server at geekcardgames.com/discord. You can find our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/geekcardgames. That's where our extra life stuff will be. You can reach our YouTube channel at geekcardgames.com/YouTube, where Two Guardians is still going on. We have t-shirts at geekcardgames.com/shirts. And I am at Comic Book Cody on Twitter. Sam.
I'm at SKSUVAK.
And as always, keep things spooky. Take it away, Sam.
All right. We're just two geeks who heart horror games.
Nice.
I
Love
tried.
it.
I'm not the best at the Jason
It's
voice.
good. It's good. It's
It's
good.
good. It's good. It's good.
It's different. It's important to differentiate because some people think it's like ha ha ha. It's not it. It's saying ma 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 because it's like kill mom.
Yeah, I get that it's kiki ma ma ma, but I'm one who has always heard ch 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 ah ah ah.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
and that's what I believe it. But like I've read everything that says the kiki ma ma ma, so that's what I say to be proper. Um, but like yeah, I hear it the other way. So.
a nice mask.
Thank you. I like your shirt.
Thank you. People often ask me, Cody, if you were to write the next Friday the 13th, what would it be called? And it would be Friday the 13th Part 13. Jason Goes to the Beach. So,
I like it.
where'd you get your mask?
Amazon.
How much? It's really nice.
It's like $8.
Really?
Yes.
20.
Huh? What? Huh? I don't know.
You look like you would mug me.
Well, I wanted to look scary because otherwise I was just wearing a t-shirt. So I put on the hoodie. I was like, yeah, this will make me look badass.
Okay.
Yeah.
It does. I give you that. Um, are you breathing and like it's bouncing back in your face?
Yeah. That happens.
It's getting a little hot in this.
It's real hot in this hoodie. So we're gonna have to take this off in a second. But yeah, I approve. Were we gonna do something creepy, or was that all?
That was it. I was gonna wear this.
I like it. I think Freddy Goes to the Beach is a real good one. So.
Jason Goes to the Beach. Thank you.
Whoa! I don't even know what happened there. I'm so hot I can't think in this getup. So it could be a buddy cop like thing, like Freddy and Jason team up and they go to the beach. It'd be like Weekend at Bernie's, but like with Freddy and Jason.
Yeah, I could see that working. They're pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Let's take this off because it's getting real hot.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, if it falls, it'll be fun. Oh,
take
yeah.
Some chest hair here.
Wait. I have a Hawaiian shirt. It's purple. Should I put it on?
If you want to.
Okay. Why not?
Go for it.
I'll be right back.
That's our game. I enjoy.
There we go.
I enjoy the both with sunglasses on.
Well, I started to come back and I saw you had your sunglasses on again. I was like, I need to get some freaking sunglasses here. Whew.
Hoping you wouldn't see.
I need to iron this. It's got the little thing sticking out. I'm a little out of breath there.
I mean, that sliding motion takes a lot out of you.
Well, I was running to the garage to go to my car and get the sunglasses real quick. And I was like, I've been gone for so long, I need to hurry. Oh. I don't like to keep a gentleman waiting, so.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right.
Are we just going to do the podcast in our sunglasses?
To be honest with you, I cannot read my computer, so no.
We just lift them up when you need to read. We'll start out with them, and then we can take them off.
Yeah. All right.